Of all the biblical passages, Revelations is by far the most fantastic, by which I mean it tells a series of events that don't follow the immediate life of Christ like the rest of the New Testament, and pits a struggle of good versus evil using larger-than-life imagery and characters, monsters, angels, demons, etc. But one of the most enduring set of characters from Revelations are the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, a quartet that invoke the destructive aspects of mankind. But the four endure in our popular culture and imaginations. Usually they take on the role of villains in movies and games, but in Vigil's Darksiders series they are the main protagonists. More specifically for the first game, you play as War, the youngest of the Four Horsemen who answers the call of the Apocalypse and arrives on Earth in the midst of the final war between heaven and hell. However, all is not as it appears to be, as the seventh seal was not broken, the other horsemen are absent, and mankind is annihilated in the crossfire. And War is held responsible for it all. Whilst being judged by an entity known as the Charred Council, a trio of all-powerful beings who enforce the ceasefire between heaven and hell, probably because even God's been outsourcing work these days, War calls foul play and demands to be sent back to Earth, and indeed as the plot progresses you find out that them plays be foul. However, War is not alone in being sent back to Earth. The Council assigns to him an agent of theirs called the Watcher to keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't get into any more mischief, and spies on him.
Let's lay down a few ground rules. Until this is over, you're a dog on a leash. I say bark, you bark.
Most of the game takes place in the ruins of an unnamed American city, which is most likely New York City due to the architecture, the size, and the fact that everything takes place in New York City. Hell has apparently won their war, or at least have the upper hand in their conflict, as they occupy much of the ruined Earth, with various demon lieutenants carving out their own territories of their own. So most of the time, War is fighting against the legions of Hell, but that doesn't mean that you'll be finding any allies with the angels of Heaven. Holding you responsible for triggering the apocalypse as well as the death of their general Abaddon, the remaining armies of heaven will hunt you down with as much hatred and zeal as their demon rivals. Personally, I just love the setting of Darksiders. Granted, the title of the show gives it away that I enjoy post-apocalyptic fiction, but something about the ruins of human civilization being used as the dungeons and bases for angels and demons in their eternal war is a pretty cool idea. Each zone of the city feels different, from the desert made of ashes of humanity, that's literal by the way, not figurative, to the gloomy graveyards full of the undead, or the web-strewn broken skyscrapers crawling with demonic spiders. Ugh. It also feels different, and this is not a story about humanity either. Humanity is absent from the scene, leaving their worlds to the theologically supernatural. The game is a mixture of things. It's part action, part environmental puzzle and exploration. It's by no means a wide open sandbox like Fallout, for example, but different areas of zones become unblocked as you acquire gear as you progress through the game, so going back to see what you missed is part of the charm. Heralded by some as a dark Zelda or decried by others as being terminally edgy, to me it feels a lot like Soul Reaver. The gameplay is similar, both have dark themes and settings, take place in a ruined world, and have a main protagonist that is an agent of a baritone eldritch entity.
Very well. You will return to the Earth, but you will be watched. Come forth.
Also, both games heavily feature souls, except while Raziel eats souls, War spends them as a currency. Souls come in three varieties in Darksiders. The green ones heal you, the orange ones refill your wrath meter, which allows you to pull off your more advanced attacks, and blue ones can be redeemed at a merchant for various combat moves and weapons. You can find souls by different means. The obvious way is by killing your enemies, but you can also find them in chests and indestructible world objects. I always like to think of the in-universe ramifications for that one, because imagine if you died during the apocalypse and your soul becomes stuck in a couch where it remains trapped for a century, until some dude comes along with a hulking sword, smashes your comfy abode, and sells you to a demon to remember how he can swing his sword in a slightly different way. Or it's the eternal punishment for traffic wardens to have their souls bound to a parking meter for all eternity.
These humans wield strange and mysterious weapons.
And that's really all I wanted to say about Darksiders. It's an interesting take on the post-apocalypse setting and the Book of Revelations in general. Vigil Games did release a sequel in which you play as War's elder brother and fellow horseman Death, but we'll save that as a tale for another time. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this installment of Post-Apocalyptia, and if you liked what you saw, check out the previous episodes by clicking the annotations on screen. And if you don't already have enough spam in your life, be sure to follow me on Twitter and or Facebook. I mean, you wouldn't want to be antisocial or anything, would you? As always, I'll see you next time.